I wanted to be a granny. It's nae a lot to ask for. One wee grandchild, someone to take for walks in a fine summer's day in a pram, or to sit and knit booties and cardigans and mitts for in a cold winter night. I've only ever had one daughter, Mildred. And if Drumorty ever had a beauty contest, and Mildred was the only entry, she still wouldn't win. So I kent it was going to be easy to find Mildred a man. So I started early, afore she was 18 in fact, and I thought, if we're going to do this, then we're going to do it properly. So I got a notebook and I wrote down all the names of all the eligible men in the town. A book with 2 columns, one for positive attributes, one for negative attributes. When we'd completed an entry, we would add up all the plushes, deduct the minuses, and the ain with the best score would be our first choice. Originally, the only men that got into the book were the ains that were good-looking, had a job with reasonable prospects, and a host of their ain. But o'er the years, as one by one these lads got snapped up, we had to be a little less choosy. No, they get into the book if they're single and hae a pulse. And there's nae even that mony a men. So, the arrival of a new minister, an unmarried new minister, was like manna fae heaven, and I immediately snapped into action. I discovered he was biding in a boarding house, so I thought the least I could do was to invite him round for his dinner on a Sunday. After all, it could prove Mildred's last chance of finding a man, and my last chance of being a granny. No, I'm nae recht sure the last time a minister sat down for a proper meal. Must have been sometime during the Boer War, by the looks of it. He couldna half eat. 2 plates of soup, chicken with scurly and tatties, and 2 helpings of jam roly-poly with custard. So it was nae surprise that he jumped at returning the following Sunday for his dinner. Over the course of the 2 months, the minister was a regular visitor to our house. And never once did he try and talk Mildred's hand. Well, this left me in a bit of a quandary. I mean, he was costing me a small fortune, but what should I do? Should I give up now and waste all that money, or keep going in the hope that he would fall in with our plans? So, I decided to give it 4 more weeks and nae a day more. As it turned out, things sorted themselves the very next Sunday. Mildred had just shown him to the door. Then she came running back in floods of tears. Well, when she finally calmed down, she told me that he'd casually mentioned that he had a fiancé. And in Macduff, of all places, I was shocked. Mildred suggested that maybe he should have said something, but that I said, how could he? His mouth's aye been filled with food that I've bought. He said 4 chickens, 2 on a best steak, liver, kidneys, a double lemon sole, and goodness knows what else, and that's not even mentioning the soup and all the puddings. Aye, double helpings. And that's when it dawned on me. That constituted stealing. Talking food for folk under false pretences. Well, if that was the sort of man he was, it was a lucky escape for us all. But as one door closes, for the very next day, Mistress McKenty dropped in past to see me. Now, she'd been up visiting Walter MacDonald. That's him at Ferms up at Hillside. She came round to give me the good news. Walter's wife, Bessie's dead. We've got a new eligible widower and somebody else for the book. Now, I did agree with Mildred that we should maybe put down the fact that Walter's knocking on 60 as a minus. But we could add it up with the plushes for the fact he's got his own house, his own farm, and from foot I've been telt, his ain teeth. So I vowed that very next day that Mildred and myself were gone to visit Walter, because I could finally be a granny. And, of course, Walter MacDonald's just about blind. And that's definitely something for the plus column.